Beruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Kuf Chof Ches Amud Beis. 4 lines from the top at the new Mishnah. A Baal Chai is osir to metaltil because it's intrinsically muksa. Muksa machmas gufo, just like a stone or a piece of wood. Our Mishnah discusses in certain circumstances the Chachamim were mekil in regards to muksa for various Balei Chai under certain circumstances. Says the Mishnah, Choifin es haksal lifnei ha'afroichin kedei sheyalu v'yardu. One can take a basket and turn it over to enable efroichim, the little chickens, to then step on the sal and get into their nest, to go up and down inside and outside of their nest. So the turning over of the sal, even though one is turning over a klisha mlachta leheter, which shouldn't be a problem at all, but since he's doing it for the efrach, which is muksa, so there's a machloikis whether that is mutter or not, because after all, he's then moving a davar for a davar that's eino nitel on Shabbos. So one man da Omer says that's mutter, while the other Tana says that is osir. And the reason why over here it's mutter to then overturn the sal is because the sal itself, he needs to then move it l'tzarech gufoy or l'tzarech mekoimoy. So once he has it in his hands, he can then turn it over and place it so that's next to the nest, allowing the efrochim to go up and down. That's a machlokes we saw in the third parak. Says the Mishnah Vayter, Tarnegoiles shebarcha doichin oiso ad shetikones. A tarnegoiles who runs away from the coop and is endangered. So one can go ahead and push the tarnegoiles so that it goes and gets guided back into the coop. So here it would be a hefsei mammon for the owner if the tarnegoiles would be boreach, and here there's a special heter allowing, even though it's muksa, the tarnegoiles, but to push, in this case, the tarnegoiles, which is normally a problem of tiltul muksa, over here is mutter. Medadin agolin v'seyochin. Baby cows are calves, that's agolin, and baby donkeys are called seyochin. One is able to then take them by the neck or by the side of their bodies and move them, help them along. And that is mutter again, even though these agolim and the siyochim are muksa machmas gufoy, but nonetheless, over here they're in a state of tsar, and therefore because of the tsar balei chayim, it's mutter to then go ahead and be medadin these animals. The Mishnah goes on to say, now that we spoke about the tiltul of muksa and be medadin these animals, the Mishnah says, Isha medada es bena. Now, even though a child certainly is not muktzah, but over here talking about a woman can be medada her child in a public domain, in a reshus harabim. So even though normally one would say that would be a problem, because maybe over here she may pick up her child, but since we say that the child, according to everybody, is a chai that's noise es atzmoi, therefore there wasn't a chashash that maybe she would pick up the child, because even if she were to pick up the child in the public domain, it would be an isur d'rabbanan. So therefore they weren't goyzer to be medada es bena in the reshus harabim. Omer Rabbi Yehuda emasai bizman shehu noitel achas or miniach achas. When can the mother medadin in es bena? That's when the child is going to move its legs. Aval imhaya goyrer also, but if the mother would to then push, would drag the child from its, allowing the feet to be planted on the ground, just drag the child, that dragging the child really is a form of picking the child up. And that's not just a tiltul muksa, because there's no muksa involved over here. That would be an isser of carrying in Dalad Amos in the Rishus Harabim. So here Rabbi Yehuda is coming to Mafaresh, the Tanakama. Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav, the name of Rav, the following statement: Behema shenafla la'amas hamayim. Behema falls in a stream of water. Mevi karim uksosois umeniach tachteho. One can place cushions in the pillows and cushions in the amas hamayim, And therefore, also if the behema were to then stand on the cushion and then be able to then extricate itself out from the amas hamayim, then fine. If not, not. Frek the Gemara meisvei behema shenofla la amas hamayim oisa la parnasa b'mekoyma b'shvir shelo tamus. Here it states in the Brisa that if this happens, that an animal falls in the stream of water, then one can send parnasa to keep the animal alive. Mashma only that. Parnasa in karim v'ksasos loy, but to then send down karim v'ksasos, that would be prohibited. That seems to be the diuk of this Brisa. Answers the Gemara Lokashya, ha de efsher beparnasa, ha de efsher beparnasa. In the situation that the Bryce is talking about where it was possible with Parnasa. But if it's not possible with Parnasa, then it's permitted to then send down Karim V'Ksosos in order to then allow the Behema to then stand on the Karim V'Ksosos and then get out of the Amas Hamayim. Efshar beparnasein v'iloi mevi Karim V'Ksosos eminiach tachteho. Says the Gemara, wait a second. Still, how can you go ahead and send down karim eksosos v'ho kamevatal kli mehechonoi? By putting the karim eksosos, allowing the animal to step on it, now you're being mevatil the shimush of this kli. This kli was a karim eksoso that could be moved, and now by then putting it in such a situation, it's now going to be what's called either soiser. It's similar to then being soiser the kli, breaking it down, or being boine by placing in a makom that's koveya makom because it cannot be then taken away. It's now a basis ledavar ha'aser. So therefore, how can you then move the karmic sosos for the behema, where the behema will then step and remain on the karmic sosos? Is mevatel kli mehechonoi. Answers the Gemara sover mevatel kli mehechono dirabonon. Since Vato Kli Me'echonon is an Isser D'Rabbanon, they were makil in this situation because Tsar Be'lechaim De'oraisa, according to this Tana, the Tsar Be'lechaim is De'oraisa, V'osi De'oraisa V'dochi D'Rabbanon, and therefore the Isser De'oraisa that would be Tsar Be'lechaim enables us to then be makil in a situation of the D'Rabbanon of Mevato Kli Me'echonoi. The next part of the Mishnah we quote over here is Tarnagoles Shebarcha. If the Tarnagoles were to run away from its coop, then it says that you can go ahead and doichin the Tarnagoles into the coop by guiding it. However, in regards to the next part of the Mishnah, the calves and the baby donkeys, the sioim, the siochin, there we said a different thing. We didn't say doichin, we said the language was midadin. So ask the Gemara, or the Gemara makes a diuk rather, in regards to the Tarnagoylin, doichin in madadidin loy. We can only then push the Tarnagoyles, but we cannot go ahead and medadin. We can't take the Tarnagoyles by the neck and then move it. That's the diuk from the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Tanina loha, we also then taught, just like we learned how now in this diuk, we taught it also in the following Braisa Befeush, the Tana Rabbanan, Medadidim Behema Chaya Va'oif Bechotzer Avaloi Es HaTarnagoles. Here it says explicitly, you can go ahead Medadidim the Behema Chaya and Oif, but not the Tarnagoles. Frek the Gemara, Tarnagoles, my time Moloi. Why is the Tarnagoles different than the Behema Chaya and Oif? Answers the Gemara, Amar Abaye Mishum the Makpiyah Nafsha, because Tarnagoles has a tchuna that it lifts itself up, whereby if you did this, if you're medaded in Tarnagoles, you indeed would be picking it up, you would be carrying the Tarnagoles, and that would be a tiltal gomor, which is osir. They were only matir, the tiltal b'miktsas, but not the tiltal gomor of picking it up. Tani Chada, the now Gemara brings one brisa that states, medadedim behemo v'chaya v'oif b'chotzer, avaloi b'rishus harabim, that one can be medad in the chaya behem and oaf in a chotzer, but not in rishus harabim, because a person would then perhaps pick up the behem chaya and oaf, and therefore it's only permissible to be done in a chotzer, but not in rishus harabim, because if he pick it up, he could carry a dalet amos in rishus harabim, so that would be osir. V'ha'isha, the Brisa goes on to say, medadida is b'na b'rishus harabim ve'ein tzarich lo b'chotzer. when it comes to a child, a woman could go ahead and medada es bena. She can go ahead and do that not only in the chotzer, but even in the reshus harabim. Here again, as we stated before, because everybody agrees, this Tana, and everybody agrees that when it comes to a person, a chay is noise es atzmoi. So even if a person were to then carry the child, at most it would be an Isser D'Rabbanan. So therefore one could be medada as bena in the Reshus HaRabim, and there's not a chashash that maybe you'll carry the child, because they weren't goyzer this concern, because at most it would only be a Isser D'Rabbanan. That's one brayse. Now Gemara brings another brayse. V'tani idoch ein oikrin behemo v'chayev oif b'chotzer aval doichin bohen shikansu. Here it states that one cannot lift up the behemo chaye and oif in a chotzer. Aval, what he could do is doichin, he could push the behemo chaye and oif, so he can then enter the chotzer to help it. Ask the Gemara on this brayse. Hagufa kashya, we have a stira within the brisa itself. Amris, you said in the Reisha, ein oikrin, but the dik would be avodoy daduye medadadinan, that you could go ahead and do medadin the behema chayin oif. You only can't be oikered, but you could go ahead and take it by its side or by its neck and medadin the behema chayin oif. That would be the diuk from the Reisha. Hodar amris doichin in medadin loy. But in the seifa of the same brisa, it states that you can go ahead and be doichin. Mashma, you can't be medadin. So here you have a stira in the diukim. Answers the Gemara, Abaye seifa asoin l'tarnei goyles. The seifa that states that you can only be doichin, that's referring to a tarnei goyles. And therefore that's true. You cannot be medadin the tarnei goyles. But when it comes to a behema chayev va'oif, you could, yes, be medadin. Omar Abaye, Bayer now teaches us other halachas in regards to a tarnei goyles that are not nogeh to the inyan of muktzah or in the inyan of hotzah. He says, Hai man de shochit tarnei goyles. If a person is going to then shecht a tarnei goyles because of its techuna, that it jumps easily when you grab it, it lifts itself up, then you must lekavshinhu lekare be'ara. You must push down its legs so then it has the ability to then lift itself up. Inami, alternatively, nidal lehu meidal. You must then lift it up completely so that, again, it won't then have the issue that it will move around while you're going to shecht it. Because the dilma monach lehu tufrei ba'ara, because perhaps it will then, if you don't do this, it'll take its claw and stick it into the ground. Ve'okar lehu l'simonim, and then it'll dislodge the simonim, and they'll render it a treifa, and therefore you will not be able to shecht it properly. So therefore, either says Abaye to then make sure that it's going to be in a place where it's pushed down, so it can't lift itself up, or it's completely off the ground, so it can't go ahead and move itself and dislodge its simonim. The Gemara now brings the next Mishnah. This Mishnah again discusses behemas in regards to then when a behema is going to then give birth, what is the things that a person can do to assist the behema. Says the Mishnah, ein melidin es ha behema biyamtif ava mesadin. Ein miyaldin rather. Ein miyaldin es ha behema biyamtif ava mesadin. That means to say that you cannot go ahead and help the behema by taking out the behema from inside of its womb. In other words, you can't stick your hands inside because it's too much of a tircha to then bring the baby out. But you go ahead and support it. The Gemara will explain what does that mean to support it. Umiyaldin es ha'isha b'Shabbos. Once it mentions about being miyaled or not being miyaled the behema because the tircha yisera, but one could misadin because it's only a tircha pechusa. When it comes to an isha, a person can, yes, of course, then help the woman give birth on Shabbos by taking out the baby from inside. V'korin la chachama mimokum lamokum. It's also permissible to call a midwife to go ahead from one place to another place, even if she is situated beyond the tchum. She can go ahead and then call her to come beyond that tchum. They were lenient. Umechalin ales hashabis. It's permissible even to mechalel Shabbos because of the state of pikuach nefesh for the woman who's giving birth. V'koishrin es hatibur. You can go ahead and tie the tibur after birth, the umbilical cord. Rabbi Yossi Omer Af Chaytchi. Rabbi Yossi says you can even sever it. You can even cut the umbilical cord on Shabbos. In both cases, the koishrin is because the umbilical cord is dangerous. If it's not tied, then it can get caught on something. It can pull the child's intestines out. And so the Rabbi Yossi was even more concerned, therefore said that you should even cut it, so something like this shouldn't happen. The Mishnah concludes with something that really is an introduction to the next parak, Rabbi Eliezer de Mila, which discusses at length the things that are permissible to do in regards to a Mila, but it says over here, Kol Tzarche Mila, when a child is having a bris Mila on the 8th day on Shabbos, all of the tzrachim can be done, again, because of an inyan of a heter of Mila on Shabbos, and sometimes it isn't even an issue of pikuach nefesh. Says the Gemara asking the following question, Ketzad misadim. We said in the Mishnah and the Reisha that one cannot be miyaldin es habehema on Shabbos, but on Yontiv and Kol Shekin Shabbos, but you can misadin on Yontiv but not on Shabbos. So now the Gemara wants to know, what does it mean Ketzad misadin? What does it mean to the misadin to then support? Rabbi Yehuda Omar Oiches is havlad shelo yipol la'aretz. It means to catch the vlad from when it comes out, it shouldn't fall on the ground. Rav Nachman Omar doichek bebosar kedei sheyetze havlad. He says that you can push on the outside of the mother in certain places, so that it would then help push out the vlad. Says the Gemara, Tanya Kavose de Rav Yehuda. We have a brisa that is like what Rav Yehuda has said, that sadin means catching the vlad, so it shouldn't then fall on the ground. Ketzad mesadin, the brisa says, oichsin es ha vlad shelo yipol la'aretz. You can hold the vlad and catch it so it doesn't fall onto the ground. V'noifeach loy bechoitmo. You can blow into its nostrils in order to then alleviate from any things that clogging the nostrils up, like mucus or blood. V'noisin loy dad letoich piv kedei sheyinak. You can place the dad of the mother into the mouth of the vlad, so that the vlad can go ahead and nurse. And this is the brisa. The brisa continues and says, Amar Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, Merachamin hayinu al behema tahara b'yomtiv. We would also cause an affinity, a certain love for the vlad towards its mother of a behema tahara on yomtiv. Gemara asks, Heichi Avi, what would we do in order to then facilitate more of a love, endear more of a love for the mother onto the vlad? Now, why would we do this in the first place? Because it said that the mother sometimes would abandon its newborn child because of a distaste, whatever, a neglect, and would then let the vlad die. So therefore, in order to then help that, we would then endear, with merachamin, cause a certain affinity that the mother should have for its kin. Heichi dam avid, what would we do? Explains the Gemara. Omar Abaye mevi bul shel melach. You take a fistful of salt, umeiniach la betoich harechem, and place it inside of the womb of the mother, kedei shetizkor tzara v'terachem alov, so that she'll remember the tsar when she had the vlad inside of her and was in labor. Thereby, she will then have rachmanis on the vlad. Umezalfi meshilya al gabe vlad. And then you should sprinkle the water on the shilya of the afterbirth and place it on the vlad, so that the mother will smell this afterbirth on the vlad and have rachmanis on her vlad. Gemara comments, v'dafka tahara aval tameya lo. This is specifically talking about a behema tahara on yantif, but not a behema tameya. My Taima asks the Gemara, why the distinction? Tameya lo merachka vlada. that a behema tameya does not distance itself from its vlad. And if it does, v'imirachka vlada loy mekarva, once it distances itself, it won't help all of these different strategies, because it won't come close to the vlad and have rachmanis on it again. The Gemara now quotes the Mishnah that says, Miyaldin es ha'isha, as you can go ahead and help and deliver the baby for a woman who's giving birth. Ask the Gemara, Michti, let us see. Tana lei, it says, Miyaldin es ha'isha. You go ahead and deliver the child from a woman. V'karin lo chachama mimakom lemakom. You're able to also call a midwife to come from one distant place to another distant place. That means to say even beyond the alpayim amma of the tchum. Umechalin ales hashabis. Then the Mishnah adds, Umechalin ales hashabis lasuye mai. Ask the Gemara, what does this last phrase come to include? We already said you're doing things to Mechalel Shabbos. So why does it state over here specifically Umechalin ales hashabis? What does it come to add? Lasuye ho diton rabban. Answers the Gemara comes to include the following. Im haisa tzricha lener. She needs ner to miyashiv her das. That itself is crucial for her state, and therefore she's enabled to then have her friend light a ner on her behalf. If she needs shemen, so then her friend could go ahead and bring shemen from a reshus harabim on her hand. By putting shemen on her hand, she'll then walk in the reshus harabim. It'll be a shinui of hoitzah, whereby it'll be only an isser d'rabbanan. V'im eino sipek biyad mevia b'shtaro. If she can't bring enough in her hand, then she'll fill her hair with oil and bring it to the reshus harabim, which itself is a shinui. V'im eino sipek b'saro. If that's even not enough, then mevia lebekli. We permit her to bring even in a vessel, in a kli, the shemen that she needs. Again, this will be miyashiv the das of the miyaledes, and therefore of the yoledis rather, and therefore it's permissible, even though it's not necessarily for refuah, but that's considered to be to give her a state of mind, the yishuv hadas, which is essential for her being at that time. Omar Ma, the Gemara brings back that statement that we just made. Im haiset tzricha laner chaverte madlekes los haner. If she needs the ner to be lit, so then her friend could go ahead and light. Frekta Gemara Pshita, that's straightforward. If she's in the dark, certainly she needs the light, and therefore, of course, her friend could go ahead and light the light on her behalf. Answers Gemara Latzricha Besum. We're talking about a yoledes that's blind, and therefore, Mao the same. I might think to say, Kivan Deloy Chazio Oser, since the yoledes herself does not see, therefore it's also to turn on a light on her behalf. Komash Malon. Isuve misva daita. We come to teach over here that indeed it also brings her yishuv hadas when the light is on, even though she can't see. Why? Because Sover, she thinks, I'ika midi chazia chaverta ve'avdali. If there is something, my friend will see it and then she'll give it and do it for me. And therefore it will miyashi the das of the yoledes, that the friend that is next to her will have a light in the room, and therefore her friend can light a light even for that miyashi the das of the yoledes in this case. Im haiset tzrichel neshemen, we mentioned before that if she needs shemen, then there's a protocol. We try to then first bring it on the hand, which is a shinui, and carry it that way by putting it on the hand. Let's say on the back of one's hand, and she carries it through the reshus harabim, and that would only be an isser d'rabbanan. Then we said if she needs more shemen, that's not satisfactory, she brings it in her hair. And if that's still not satisfactory, she can bring it in a regular kli. Ask the Gemara, why is she bringing it in her hair? Why is that considered to be of a benefit that it's going to be only an isser d'rabbanan? Ask the Gemara, tepukle mishum schita. There's an isser d'oraisa involved by putting it in her hair. Though she have to then squeeze out the shemen that's in her hair by giving it to the yoledes. And that's an isser d'oraisa mefarik. Answers the Gemara, Rabbi Rav Yosef, the Amr Travayu, ein schita b'sei. When it comes to hair, since hair is coarse enough that it doesn't have the ability to then be soifeg, to then absorb the oil, when a person squeezes it out, he's not squeezing out that which was absorbed inside the hair itself. He's squeezing out that which is then caught in between the hairs. Rav Ashi Omar, afilu tema yesh schita b'seyar. Still, mevia lo b'kli derech sa'ara. Still, what we're talking about over here doesn't mean that you put it inside the hair and then have the hair be safug, be absorbing all of this oil. No, it doesn't mean that. It means that you're taking a kli and you're putting it inside the hair. That means that it's wrapped around the hair. And that we're walking then through the Shus HaRabim and bringing the oil in that fashion, which certainly is a shinui. Rav Ashi, and therefore, the kama de esher lishinui mashaninon. Whatever is possible to make a shinui, we try to do, and therefore we then make that shinui. If that's still not satisfactory, then we then go ahead and bring in a kli, which is going to be a hotzah midiraisa. But in the case of a yoledis, in this situation, because miyashiv her das, it's mutter.